In just a few short hours, the remainder of the Star Wars fanbase will fall away, as a new rumor arises that has the once mighty fanbase ready to check out completely.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
The Acolyte is upon us. Sadly, the newest Star Wars series from Disney has fans dreading the show's arrival. This isn't anything new. Since 2015's The Force Awakens revealed its true colors, fans have been leaving the franchise in droves. After the movies failed to hit big, the people at Lucasfilm took Star Wars to Disney+. While that started big with The Mandalorian, it has now devolved into The Acolyte, and according to one insider, the remainder of the fanbase is about to sink into the ocean. But before we get into that aquatic nightmare, today's video is brought to you by me, Jeff Hicks, with a way to save entertainment and save society from itself. Don't you just hate wokeness and the toll it takes on society? Well, bust it with Wokebusters! Set in a world where outrage turns people into literal monsters, Wokebusters follows the four men who step up to save society from itself. It's funny, colorful, and action-packed. This 100-page epic is only available on Kickstarter for a limited time, so act now before the clock runs out and wokeness wins. Got outrage? Call Wokebusters. We're just a few short hours away from The Acolyte. The new Star Wars series, based on the barely there High Republic era of Star Wars, has very little hype surrounding it. Last week, Kathleen Kennedy told fans they were not wanted, and now, after this week, the 5 remaining fans may leave completely. An early screener of the series The Acolyte is out, and one critic is sure that the series will kill the remnant of the Star Wars fanbase. From Alan at Film Threat, final verdict. The 3rd episode of The Acolyte will finally kill Star Wars for the vast majority of pre-Disney Star Wars fans. Based on Lucasfilm's comments as of late, they are okay with that. Fans have been leaving Star Wars for a long time. The once large and loyal fanbase has been turned off for many reasons, like killing their favorite characters to build up newer, lesser versions of the same character, fan bashing, and killing the EU. This tweet has sent shockwaves of speculation rippling through the Star Wars fandom. What could it be? What could be the franchise-breaking revelation? It has to be something surrounding the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. The original trilogy has been fodder for Disney the entire time. The sequel trilogy is just a weak imitation of the original trilogy. The callbacks have been done to death. The character returns and deaths have been exhausted. There's little left to squeeze from the biggest trilogy in history. That leaves the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy has been very lucrative over the last few years. With renewed interest in Episode 1, Disney would be wise to leave that era alone. The prequel trilogy fans are the right age for nostalgia to be setting in, and the hypercritical lens of The Phantom Menace has begun to soften. It's a good bet that whatever's about to happen affects the OT and prequel trilogy fans alike. With that in mind, one only has to do minimal deductive reasoning to get to the bottom of this. What's the crossover and who will be sacrificed? To figure that out, one has to understand a few things about the Acolyte. 1 and 3 aren't very nice, but number 2, which this show is, discusses the time period of the Acolyte. According to a release, this show is set at the tail end of the High Republic era, about 100 years before Star Wars The Phantom Menace. According to early reviews, pre-Disney Star Wars fans will not like this series. A majority of fans get turned off by Disney Star Wars when a favorite character is presented in a less than savory way. With that in mind, take into account the era in which the show takes place. Only one character can be on the sacrificial altar. The series takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace, which means it takes place 132 years before A New Hope. That wipes out all but one character from the original film. However, its sequel features another character who is incredibly wise and incredibly old. A character who is roughly 761 years old during this series, Kathleen Kennedy. In reality, Star Wars fans wouldn't care if she went, but they would care about Yoda. Yoda is the only character that could get fans to react this way. We've seen Chewbacca get caked Amber Heard style in Solo, but only Yoda says a few lines in The Last Jedi. Yoda hasn't been dragged through the mud by Disney, yet. Companies fail to realize that fans are not attached to a brand name or the easily replicable parts of the franchise. Fans are attached to the characters. Fans have an emotional connection to them. They can relate, they get invested, they care. Fans care about Yoda. They grew up with him. Seeing him treated poorly, like Luke Skywalker, will only enrage them more. Disney has a track record of this. Name a character from the pre-Disney era, hell, name any pre-established character under Disney's thumb, and watch every fan base divide. It's not exclusive to Star Wars, it's all of Disney. The Defense Force is out and about, and that's what articles surrounding this show were all about last week. How toxic the fan base was. Well, this time, it's not going to get people to watch, no matter what month this series has been released in. The early review from Alan of Film Threat has a lot of fans dreading The Acolyte, but Disney's track record has them questioning that already. Star Wars is the series that just can't win because the people behind the scenes hate their audience. They want less pushback, so they create a series of shows and movies that will flush out the fan base, the paying fan base. Disney and Lucasfilm cater to the obsessive fan theory generation that will talk about the new thing, but not buy it. That's the problem. The last 10 years have shown that no matter what you do, if you have bad press, fans will not return to the show, to the series, to the merchandise, to the marketing, to anything that you're trying to promote around said brand. It's not the economy, it's not the world we live in, it's a track record of trash. And that's what Lucasfilm has right now. And that's what fans are concerned about. If fans were treated to something excellent time and time again, they would not come in droves to complain, they would come in droves to support the series. But every metric that you can gauge points to a negative trend for this brand, this company, and everything that they touch. Fans have begun to wonder about the hype surrounding all new Disney Star Wars projects. When fans were dissatisfied with The Last Jedi, those who disagreed with the fans began to postulate theories. They accused fans of review bombing a show. Then they accused the hatred on Russian bots. Then they accused the fans of hatred and bigotry towards the actresses. It never worked. And now the fans are not interested in watching anything, and that's a death sentence for any brand. For those watching along at home, what do you think about all this? What was the point where you gave up Disney Star Wars? What was the point where you gave up on any franchise? Let us know down in the comments below. It's very different, it's very personal, it's very subjective, but each person's answer is just as valid. If only Lucasfilm would take that into account, would only take into account the fans' feelings, their attachment to the story, the characters, etc. It all feels corporate and hollow, and, well, it feels like they don't really want us, just our money. Lucasfilm has been trying, at their detriment, to create a criticless fandom, a fandom that will blindly buy into whatever political dreck the creators want to put into their show. One doesn't have to look far to see that that's the ideology of Lucasfilm. Hire a creator who has a certain type of worldview and infuse that into Star Wars. It could be Kathleen Kennedy's way of fighting back at the system that made her a very rich and successful woman and a very powerful person in Hollywood. It could be her anger towards all of the millions of dollars she's earned. It could be her anger at the fact that she was attached to some of the greatest films of all time, yet didn't creatively create them. Fans have been wondering this for years. Is Kathleen Kennedy bitter and angry, or is she out of touch? The numbers don't lie and they spell disaster for Disney Star Wars, but the reason for the decisions are far more interesting than anything to come from Disney Star Wars. If you want more entertaining content like this delivered directly to you, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, and have your notification bell turned on to all. That will help you find more WCBS content. As it stands, you have to find us. Let us find you and make it easier for you. So just make sure you have your bell turned on to all, and you'll have more WCBS coming your way each and every day. So folks, one more update before you click away. Join us tomorrow for another video and a live show every Tuesday night. Now tomorrow, the High Council is going to start an hour later at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I can watch The Acolyte and have a video review very early Tuesday morning, so we don't miss out on anything. But folks, join us at 10 p.m. for that show. We'll be live again on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and for the record, we're live each and every week. So friends, we have over 400 episodes of the podcast, and the High Council is not too far behind that. Help us break some barriers, help us cross some goals, and help us get to 1,000 episodes for each show. We'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, and be sure not to miss out on Wokebusters, but always be excellent to each other. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to stealingsolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to stealingsolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs.